Hey everyone. Um, I decided to um crap, this is an awful intro. Um After I completed Metroid Prime Hunters, I briefly completely forgot that I said I was going to try to read some of the lore that was in the game that I may have missed. And I wanted to really piece everything together. Now, to remind you all, the reason I played Metroid Prime Hunters was because Sylux was implied to be returning in Metroid Prime 4 if the trailer was anything to go by. And given that Sylux had a part in Metroid Prime Hunters, which also took place between Metroid Prime 1 and Metroid Prime 2, so, killing two birds with one stone, I decided I wanted to catch up on whatever lore I missed. Even if it doesn't really give anything about Sylux, maybe some of this other lore will actually give a more insight about anything that is mentioned, or anything that's brought up in Metroid Prime 2, 3, or 4. Also, I wanted to have the full understandable story here, and everything in proper order. So we'll start with the Alimbic canon. The Alimbic canon issues bursts of polarized sorry, had something in my eye. The Alimbic canon issues bursts of polarized antimatter beyond light speed at specified coordinates and frequency to open a dimensional rift known as the Infinity Void. This device opened the Infinity Void to imprison Goria. Reuniting 8 octoliths will return power to this dormant machine. After trapping Goria in the Seal Sphere, we consigned it to a prison from which there could be no escape. So the Seal Sphere. Isn't that the glowy yellowish thing that was on Goria that we had to shoot for like 5 minutes before it, reverted to another phase? Or was the Seal Sphere like the room we fought it in? Anyways, the Alimbic canon enabled us. God. Hello, everyone. Now, I'm recording this video because after having beaten Metroid Prime Hunters, and I just want to let you know that the video was uploaded beforehand and then published today. So, if this video is published shortly after the finale video, then that's kind of why. I wanted to read this lore because not only did I want to make sure I played the Metroid Prime games in proper order, with Metroid Prime Hunters taking place between Metroid Prime 1 and 2, but given that Sylux made an appearance in this game, and that apparently he's having a comeback in Metroid Prime 4, if the trailer was anything to go by, I wanted to read up on whatever lore I missed. Now, I know this doesn't pertain to Sylux at all, because he was just someone who happened to hear about the Alimbic treasures and everything, and there's not really any ancient any ancient readings about Sylux. But I also wanted to be able to get caught up on the story in case mentions of anything Alimbic comes up in Metroid Prime 2, 3, or 4. I'm going to be putting like a darkened highlight over whatever I'm reading so you guys know where I'm at. The Alimbic canon issues bursts of polarized antimatter beyond light speed at specified coordinates and frequency to open a dimensional rift known as the Infinity Void. This device opened the Infinity Void to imprison Goria. Reuniting 8 octoliths will return power to this dormant machine. After trapping Goria in the Seal Sphere, we consigned it to a prison from which there could be no escape. The Alimbic canon enabled us to open the Infinity Void and hide Goria's prison within it. By locating the prison in an alternate dimension, we ensured that the prisoner would neither escape nor be released by accident. The Alimbic Data Shade. Data Shades are packets of telepathic data scattered throughout the Tetra Galaxy. They can be accessed by most galactic standard scan systems. Designed to maintain data integrity indefinitely, data shades are highly resistant to tampering and decay. Scanning these packets will allow you to access to our scriptures and lore. So, hold on. So, was this data shade the thing that kept popping up every time we collected an octolith? Like, there was a very cryptic message. And... Because every time we defeated a boss, there was like a mysterious message that appeared before the ship warned us of, having to escape within a time limit. So, that's possible. The Alimbic Order. There were 8 elders in the Alimbic Order. You will not find all 8 of the octoliths. They have been scattered, hidden in 4 of our most heavily defended territories. There are never more than 2 octoliths hidden on any planet or space station. Within each octolith is a spirit, the transferred essence of an Alimbic elder. Oh. Reunite all 8 octoliths in the cannon control room to open the doorway to Goria. Alimbic Pride. We continued research to improve our defense systems. Eventually, we became so proficient in the art of war that we believed ourselves invincible. Our pride was a veil over our eyes. We did not see the danger until it was upon us. Ruin came quickly as the cancer swept like fire across our worlds. Those who survived appeared lifeless and hollow, as if their very spirits had been sucked dry. We should have been more vigilant. We became complacent in our technical prowess and thought ourselves unassailable. Just goes to show, even if you think you're on top, there's always something up above. Something much higher than you. Alimbic Prophecy. It is written that the Alimbic power shall materialize when 6 frequencies shimmer in the divine spectral sequence. In the beginning shall the darkness be torn asunder by a flash of yellow lightning. Yellow lightning shall strike with demonic fury upon the greenwood. With a voice of thunder, the greenwood burst into an orange blaze. The orange blaze shall die away to be reborn on wings of blue smoke. Tendrils of blue smoke shall weave the geometry of violet crystal. Violet crystal shall shatter the heavens, leaving in its wake a red stain. When the red stain shall vanish, so shall the ancient Alimbic power be manifest. So this right here was the clue about how to defeat Goria's true form. So, it was yellow, green, orange, blue, violet, and red. So that was the Volt Driver, the Battle Hammer, the Magmaul, the Shot Coil, the, what was it called? Crap, what was it called? Whatever the purple weapon was, and the Imperialist. The Judicator, that's what it was called. It was the Judicator. Let's see, Alimbic War. The war lasted 3 standard galactic months. Even with the galaxy's most powerful technology at our disposal, we fell like dry grass beneath the blade. Okay, that's an ominous way to put it. And very accurate, and very unsettling. Without warning, our doom fell from the sky. From whence it came, we do not know. Goria was immune to even our most sophisticated weaponry, while we were defenseless against its relentless attacks. Goria devoured our people's life energy and grew powerful from it. Death swept across our worlds, and we despaired. We feared not only the extinction of our race, but the possibility that the evil would sweep the galaxy, annihilating all in its path. Goria is a cancerous bloom that would wreak havoc across the universe. We knew that if we did not stop Goria, it would rampage across the galaxy, devouring everything in its path. We finally contained Goria, but we paid a heavy price to do so. May our sacrifice bring peace to the galaxy. 8 of our elders gathered to create the Alimbic Order to prevent Goria from destroying our civilization. Their final desperate plan was to create the Seal Sphere. If you are reading this message, our plan to contain Goria was a success. Honor our sacrifice and do not seek this thing. Only harm can come from such a course. To contain Goria, my microphone is in the way, our people reduced themselves to pure telepathic energy through the process of essence transference. We gave our lives to confine the foul monstrosity known as Goria. Do not seek this creature unless you have the means to destroy it. The Battle Sarcophagus. This tomb contains the remains of Alimbic General Almiak, who led the Alimbic people to victory in the Tetra Border Wars 2,000 years ago. 2,000 years ago. He later formed the Alimbic Order of Elders. Biodefense Chamber AV. This room serves not only as home to our most sacred treasure, but also as a mortal terminus for those who would trespass. Those who dare trespass upon our sacred chambers may expect to pay dearly for that which they would seek. Combat Hall. We use this room for combat training of Alimbic military recruits. In this room were forged some of our greatest heroes. The Final Wish. Do not underestimate the danger concealed herein. We have sacrificed our world to confine the monstrosity known as Goria. Do not seek this thing unless you have the means to destroy it. Goria. The horror shrieked its name. Goria. Goria is power beyond reckoning and evil unrelenting. The universe has not known terror such as this. At first we thought Goria was a comet. It crashed upon our planet and emerged as a vapor. Goria mimicked our cellular structure and replicated itself in solid form. So yeah, that's when it took on the form of an Alimbic. Very futuristic and robotic. We have seen Goria alter its atomic structure from a vapor to a liquid. Our scientists believe Goria may also possess other shape-changing abilities. Goria is capable of changing its shape, and it uses a wide variety of lethal weaponry. Our defenses were useless against Goria as it swept through our empire in an orgy of annihilation. Alimbic soldiers were powerless before Goria's onslaught. We deployed our deadliest weapons to defeat the beast. To our horror, every weapon was somehow used against us by Goria. History. These are our last recorded messages. We depart from this place of death. If you honor our memory, do not attempt to solve the mystery of our disappearance. We overcame our harsh genesis through intellect and resolve. The Alimbic mind is bound by a will of iron. The peace of ancient Alimbic tribal culture was shattered by a deadly extraterrestrial invasion. The survivors vowed never again to be caught unprepared. We focused our resources on military science and quickly developed weapons and defenses that surpassed the technology of our enemies. We were a peaceful people, but we defended our home world with a fierce determination. To defend our territories from extraterrestrial attack, we deployed lethal bioweaponry. Our protective exoskeletons enabled us to survive the environmental extremes of the Alimbic homeworlds. Our enlarged forebrains facilitated enhanced cognitive functions. It was our ability to think quickly that saved us from early and violent extinction. For generations, our superior military capability deterred all enemies. A renewed sense of peace allowed us to return to our natural philosophical pursuits. Through science and technology, we increased our already formidable mental skills. Significant advances were made in the areas of telepathy, telekinesis, and extra-dimensional exploration. We had continued to bolster our defenses against possible future invasion. Our military technology grew increasingly sophisticated and lethal. The Interment Chamber. Alimbic warriors of valor are laid here to rest, that their spirits may return to the planetary core. That's an interesting kind of belief. Like, instead of ascending to something far greater, like far beyond our imagination, they return to the planetary core. I mean, who knows? Maybe that was their birthing place. Maybe that's something they hold maybe that's something they see in a very sacred light. I don't know, but that's very interesting that out of all the things that they would believe in returning to, it's a planetary core. I guess it does make sense though, because the Alimbic people seem to be a very celestial race, if you want to call it that. A very celestial race, because they look like they would have come from the stars. So, their spirits returning to a planetary core. Maybe they believe it's some kind of, like, a birth cycle. For some, or many, or maybe for very few. Beware our guardians. These deadly sentinels travel in packs and are programmed to protect that which is dear to us. Trust me, I know, some of them were an absolute damage sponge. Like the giant eyeball. The oubliette. The monster cannot be defeated. As a last resort, we created the Seal Sphere to cage the horror for all eternity. 8 octoliths are required to power the Alimbic cannon. Each octolith contains unique coordinates, frequencies, and codes necessary to operate the cannon. The Alimbic cannon creates a fissure between this dimension and the infinity void that houses Goria's prison, known as the oubliette. The oubliette cannot be found in this galaxy. It is hidden in another dimension. If you seek the seal sphere, you must first seek the keys. We have sent the oubliette beyond this dimension to ensure that the galaxy will never again suffer the horror that is Goria. Goria is alone in the void. For the sake of all life, it must remain so. The infinity void is a vast parallel dimension of formless antimatter. Only the Alimbic canon can access the infinity void. The Science Sarcophagus. This tomb contains the remains of the great Arcturus, whose discovery of neurogenesis marked the advent of the modern Alimbic era, a time of unprecedented peace and prosperity. The fathomless power of the captive beast is the very engine of the seal sphere. As long as its psychic powers are ensnared, Goria cannot escape. Huh. So, I was right, it wasn't just a weak spot. It was actually, the thing we were shooting at was the very thing that the true power of the beast was contained inside of. Goria is immobilized within the seal sphere, just one of the many precautions taken to ensure its eternal captivity. The Alimbic Order directed surviving citizens to transfer their essence into the seal sphere. Our combined psychic energy is the engine that powers the sphere, which I guess is why the octoliths are so important. The seal sphere is secure within the oubliette, from which there is no escape. Sealing Goria. No weapon could defeat Goria. As the death toll rose, we crafted a plan. Rather than destroy Goria, we would contain it in an interdimensional prison. Okay, I'm noticing that a lot of these seem to be repeating each other. The things I'm getting that I very much got the first time was Goria is bad. Goria had tried to destroy everything. We have sealed away Goria. Goria can only be unleashed if you get all the octoliths. I don't know if some of these messages are kind of repeating the same point in a different way, but it kind of feels like it. Anyway, we lured Goria into our trap. The seal sphere was deployed and the creature ensnared. With Goria bound, we had to act quickly. We transported Goria into its prison, the oubliette. Trapping Goria was not enough, however. Additional security measures were needed for so great a threat. We forced open an alternate dimension with the Alimbic cannon, and the oubliette was sent into it. The infinity void was sealed shut, never to be reopened. Stronghold Void. This hidden room, accessible only by extraordinary means, houses our most sacred relics. It is guarded by our most formidable cybernetic security systems. Only by activating a portal controlled by a trio of artifacts can one gain access to this secret location. That's so interesting. So, okay. So from what we very clearly have gathered, these the Alimbic people, they lived a very peaceful and, might I add, somewhat religious life. Not crazily religious, but they had some certain beliefs. For those spirits that pass on, they would be reborn inside of well, not really reborn, but their spirits would return to a planetary core. And this creature, Goria, I don't think it actually says if they know where it came from. All they know is that they thought it was a comet, the creature crashed into the surface of their world, and it took on their form. Which means the form that we fought in the finale episode, that was not Goria's true form. That was only a form that it associated with. And something to think about is, does it take on the form of whatever it thinks is the most powerful, the most intelligent, the most invincible? Or does it simply take on a form of whatever it sees to fit in? Or maybe it's both. Because that really is something to think about. They knew a lot about Goria based on personal experience, but outside of that, they really don't know. Like right here, Goria mimicked our cellular structure and replicated itself in solid form. We have seen Goria alter its atomic structure from a vapor to a solid. Our scientists believe Goria may also possess other shape-changing abilities. That's really interesting. And if you remember, we put in the we had to get the octoliths as keys, of course. And curiously enough, in the chamber where we fought Goria, there was a series of large buttons that we had to push. And pressing all of those allowed us to fight its true form. So I'm wondering, why did they design it that way? Not like a criticism why, but like more of a curious why. Because by pressing those buttons in the right order, that was the only way we would be able to fight Goria's true form. And, you know, Goria was like... I'm trying to think of how this works. Did pressing all those buttons mean that... I'm really trying to, like, think about this here. So, okay. Goria crash-landed on the planet. It took on the form of an Alimbic being. It began draining life from everyone, similar to what it did to the hunters when they all arrived in the room. Even though it should not have been possible for them to have gotten there in the first place, because I was the one with all the keys, but, you know, potential plot holes aside. So, all of the hunters had their energy drained. And something that really piques my interest is, if Sylux is destined to return, does that mean that he didn't die at the end of Prime Hunters? Because all the other hunters seem to have been completely drained. They seem to have been like... They didn't seem to be organic creatures either. They seemed to be something that ran on a kind of energy. And Goria drained all of it. But what of Sylux? Given that Sylux was the one who had more of a... How do I put this? Sylux was different from the other hunters. Because he had a gunship and weapons that were stolen, illegal, or both, and they were dangerously powerful. Like, I'm sure that in the multiplayer of Metroid Prime Hunters, I'm sure that Sylux was stupidly powerful and probably had to be nerfed if that was even possible. But I don't know for sure. So, or maybe it was that... So, like, here's the thing. The energy that was drained from the hunters, it went into Goria because, you know, that's what it was known to do. But did it return to the hunters after we destroyed it? Was all the energy freed? Was it returned to any life forms that it was stolen from? Was it different types of energy that knew where it had to return to, or was it all the same and it was just collected into this kind of matter, or this cluster that didn't know what to do with itself, which would mean that it could not return to those that the energy was stolen from? There's like a lot of questions here that are kind of left unanswered, because it's really interesting to think that everything that Goria did, who knows how absolutely powerful it could have been. I mean, we know for sure that when it was using all the different weapons that we were using, which would imply that... No, that came from it draining the... I keep getting tongue-tied here. Okay, let me refresh this. Goria crash-landed on the planet that the Alimbics lived on. The Alimbic people didn't really know what to think of it. Goria took on the form of an Alimbic entity. It began draining the other Alimbic people to grow all-powerful. They created the dimensional cannon. Where does it say that was? Somewhere down here. Rather than destroy Goria, we would contain it in an interdimensional prison. We lured Goria into our trap. The seal sphere was deployed and the creature ensnared. With Goria bound, we had to act quickly. We transported Goria to its prison, the Oubliette. Trapping Gorya was not enough, however. Additional security measures were needed for so great a threat. Okay, so that explains why there was three additional steps to actually getting there. So, okay. So they trapped Gorya inside the seal sphere. They locked the seal sphere's security up very tight by having to input a particular code that would allow me to take on Gorya's true form, or final form, or whatever you want to call it. And when we think about this backwards, it's like, and by backwards I mean like in the order that things happen. Think of it like this: Gorya's true form was sealed in. Okay, so think of it. I'm sorry, I keep getting tongue-tied. I'm not very good at doing this without a script. I'm really not. Okay, so the seal sphere was sealed behind that code that was in the chamber that we fought Gorya in. Gorya was sealed inside an interdimensional prison inside another dimension that was created by a dimensional cannon. To access this room, you needed to collect 8 octoliths. And these other forms of security were the octoliths being locked behind whatever creature we had to fight. In order to get to those rooms to fight the creatures, we had to come across 3 different artifacts in each of the 4 areas. So that's what I mean by looking at it backwards. When you really think about it, they did a lot just to seal this incredibly dangerous creature away. And given that the seal sphere was stupidly hard to destroy, that gave possibly some kind of implication or indication of how powerful it really was. Was that the toughness of the seal sphere, or was that the toughness of the monstrous energy contained inside of it? I mean, it could go both ways, or either way. So, Gorya was... They really weren't kidding. Gorya was extremely dangerous, and there was only a particular power that was capable of stopping it. The ultimate power, the Omega Cannon. Which, curiously, was also something that made made another appearance in Metroid Dread. I don't know if the two are connected, but I kind of wanna data shades. Oh, these are the data shades. Alimbic data shades are concentrated packets of data spread throughout the Tetra Galaxy, including the Alimbic cluster explored in Metroid Prime Hunters. Highly resistant to tampering, the data shades are capable of retaining their data integrity almost indefinitely and can be read even with equipment that is otherwise unable to decipher the Alimbic's language, such as Samus Ares' scan visor. Alimbic data shades are invisible to the combat visor and will open up when viewed in the scan visor's special sight window. Sight window? Oh, okay, so just the text thing. That's interesting. Essence transference is a psionic ability referenced by the Alimbic race which allows them to convert their forms into telepathic energy. This is similar to abilities displayed by the Chozo who left Zebus and Talon 4 for a higher plane of existence. The Alimbics transfer their essences in a successful attempt to contain Gorya within the oubliette, set to seal the interstellar beast away for good. This is mentioned in the lore entry Alimbic War 10, which can be scanned in the subterranean room on Arctera. To contain Gorya, our people reduce themselves to... To contain Gorya, our people reduce themselves to pure telepathic energy through the process of essence transference. So they had to give up... They really did give up their essences, their souls, maybe even their bodies, or their souls had to leave their bodies. Which means, that was like what, a form of sacrifice? That's... Oh, that's bizarre. The Seal Sphere. Oh! The Seal Sphere that can imprison Goria. The Seal Sphere is an artifact created to imprison the malevolent being known as Goria. I'm going to open that in another tab. The Seal Sphere was the last hope of the Alimbics, as all previous attempts to stop Goria had been turned against the Alimbics by the Beast. The Seal Sphere was used to imprison Goria by ensnaring its psychic powers and immobilizing it. During the events of Metroid Prime Hunters, the Seal of Seal Sphere is opened by Samus's rival bounty hunters, Candon, Weevil, Spire, Sylux, Noxus, and Trace, because they had been fooled into believing that it held the secret to ultimate power. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I mean, I guess that was also kind of shown, but the FMV video was so crispy it was kind of hard to tell. Once free, Goria latches onto the Seal Sphere and begins to draw energy from it. Goria then dispatches the other hunters, absorbs their weapons, and faces Samus in combat. During this battle, the Seal Sphere is Goria's only weak spot. Okay, so it was still the same thing. After Samus successfully destroys its arms, Goria begins to depend on the Seal Sphere, which Samus must target. During the second phase of the battle, Goria continues to draw all remaining energy from it, and it is vulnerable to the Omega Cannon. Goria is defeated and the Seal Sphere is destroyed at the same time by Samus. There are 2 confirmed Seal Spheres in the game, one attached to Goria, and the one that immobilized Goria within the oubliette, which the hunters attempt to destroy. There was 2? I thought it was the same. I thought both were the same one. The fact that the Seal Sphere attached to Goria and has the scan title Goria Seal Sphere suggests that the creature may have gained control of the device during its imprisonment. Well, that's dangerous. Goria. Goria is a powerful, malevolent being that invaded the Alimbic cluster millennia ago. It crashed on Alanos in a form resembling that of a comet, then surfaced as a shapeless gas. Due to its biomorphic nature, it quickly assumed the form of a monstrous 3-legged Alimbic and began destroying the Alimbic race on every planet they inhabited and spreading chaos throughout the Tetra galaxy. I'm pretty sure it's called Tetra, probably because of the 4 places where the keys were sealed away. You know, Tetra means 4. Goria would consume its victims' energy, either leaving them dead or in a coma-like state, and it not only resisted the weapons used against it, but it seized and copied them, thus using the Alimbic's own technology against them. It presumably accomplished all this through use of glowing tendrils found inside its waist. In a last desperate attempt to contain it, the Alimbic Order used a device called the Seal Sphere to trap Goria. As an extra precaution, they put the Seal Sphere in the prison ship, Oubliette, and used the Alimbic cannon to send the ship into another dimension, the Infinity Void. The Seal Sphere and used the Alimbic's psionic energy, thus causing the race extinction in the physical world. Oh. After an untold amount of years following these events, Goria sent out the telepathic message that was used to lure bounty hunters from across the universe in promise of ultimate power within the Alimbic cluster. Oh! That came from Goria. This attempt to break free with outside help would almost succeed. However, the ancient being was unaware of the Omega Cannon stationed within the Oubliette facility, which was later used by Samus Aran to defeat Goria's final phase. Very little is revealed in Alimbic lore about where Goria originated, as the Alimbics were unaware of where it had come from. Goria impacting Alanos is not dissimilar to the Leviathans that struck various planets in the Prime series. Goria also assimilates weapons from its foes, like Metroid Prime, before the latter's lore was retconned, and has a second flying form that requires a specialized weapon to defeat. Oh. In actuality, Goria had a second form. Samus could only find and battle this form if she shot the 6 colored panels on the wall of the prison she fought in the first form in with their corresponding weapons, in the order indicated by the Alimbic Prophecy lore scans. And it was taken to Goria's lair. Superficial scan indicates Goria's body is impervious to attack. Sensors unable to locate the upper arm vulnerability present in Goria's prior form. Harmonic analysis of the central sphere suggests that it is susceptible to direct attack. Analysis indicates the presence of fragile biomorphic neurons in Goria's shoulders, periodically vulnerable to specific energy types. Goria's final form is impervious to all weapons currently equipped in the power suit. Alternative weaponry is required to penetrate Goria's armor. Sensors detect that Alimbic presence is no longer present in the seal sphere. Goria remains attached to the sphere in order to draw all remaining energy from it. And it said that the Alimbics put all their psionic energy into the sphere, which means it was using the power from that. Huh. Richard Verodi describes Goria as a cosmic horror with an Old One quality, and much of Goria's origins are a mystery not meant to be solved. The Alimbic lore entry Goria 1 states that the horror shrieked its name, Goria. This insinuates that the creature is not only capable of telepathic communication, but vocal speech as well. Another possibility is that the Alimbics merely named the creature after the sound of its vocalizations, as opposed to Goria actually speaking and identifying itself. Whichever the case, none of the sounds made by the entity during Samus's encounter with it even vaguely resemble the word Goria. Interesting to note, however, is that Goria arrived on Alanos in a different form from what Samus encounters in the Oubliette. The sound it produced when it first invaded Alimbic territory may have been exclusive to Goria's original form. It is also possible that Goria was some form of onomatopoeia to the Alimbics, whether spoken by them or not. This would be similar to how onomatopoeia varies across different Earth languages, causing certain instances of it in a given dialect to sound preposterous to non-native speakers of said dialect. So for a simpler explanation of this, in Sergeant Frog, Carabo is derived from the word kero, the Japanese the Japanese onomatopoeia for that a frog makes. The impact site where Goria first arrives as a comet can be visited on Alanos' crash site. Scanning the area reveals the following: severe architectural damage, evidence of unidentifiable interstellar matter, a result of an extraterrestrial collision. This could, however, be the crash site of Sylux's Delano 7, I'm going to open that up, as it can be seen earlier on flying overhead and leaving a smoke trail. The enemy kill record in the records option on the main menu suggests the same before and after the Goria fight. In the Alimbic Pride 4 lore, the cancer is said to have left Alimbic survivors in a state in which it seemed that their spirits had been sucked dry, and seemed to have grown stronger with each victim. This is similar to a Metroid organism. Okay, well. Though Goria was only shown absorbing the 6 bounty hunters' abilities, Goria's shoulders in its first form resemble those of Samus's Varia suit. Huh. You know, I never really thought about that. Much of the info gathered about Goria seems somewhat similar to certain aspects of Phazon and its delivery methods via a cosmic body impacting a planet like a meteor. However, any direct link to the mutagenic substance is unlikely, since the rest of the Metroid Prime series revolves around Phazon and planets struck by Leviathans, both of which are absent from Metroid Prime Hunters. The theme heard when battling Goria's first form is titled Goria in the BGM select list.dat file. The music heard when battling its second form is a remix of Metroid Prime Battle titled Goria Returns. Goria and Samus and Metroid Prime Federation Force are the only final bosses in the Prime series not to be related to the Metroid Prime creature itself. Wait, Goria and Samus and Metroid Prime Federation Force. Wait. There... You know, I'll look into... I'm just gonna move on. The concept of attacking Goria's arms with different weapons at different times is similar to the battle with Metroid Prime. The shoulder region of Goria's arms seems similar to orbs, creating another similarity to a Prime series boss, Moganar, in Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. Goria will not attack Samus if she stands in the outer rings of the arena when it first enters its first Seal Sphere form. Yeah, I did notice that. Goria is the fourth antagonist to be a mimic of one of its past opponents, the first being SAX, which was absolutely terrifying, the second being Dark Samus, and the third being Gendrada? Out of all of these, Goria is also the only antagonist to not mimic Samus. Both of Goria's phases in its battle is played as an almost exact copy of both phases of the battle against the Metroid Prime in Metroid Prime. Like Metroid Prime's exoskeleton phase, Goria's first phase is immune to all weapons except the one it's using. In the case of Prime, yellow is vulnerable to the power beam, purple is vulnerable to the wave beam, white is vulnerable to the ice beam, and red is vulnerable to the plasma beam. In the case of Goria, green is vulnerable to the battle hammer, yellow is vulnerable to the volt driver, orange is vulnerable to the magmall, blue is vulnerable to the shot coil, purple is vulnerable to the judicator, and red is vulnerable to the imperialist. I just kept firing at it with the power beam because I didn't know if it was actually going to do much damage. And like Metroid Prime's Essence Phase, Goria's second phase is immune to all weapons except specific ones. In the case of Prime, it's the Phazon Beam. In the case of Goria, it's the Omega Cannon. An unused model of a part of Goria's arm exists within the files of Metroid Prime Hunter named Goria_Gun. Included is also an animation file for the arm part opening and closing. It is interesting to note that it is a dark with purple line color, suggesting this was from a possible earlier build of Goria. The gun part also bears a slight resemblance to the shootable panels in the Steel Sphere chamber, and the former may have been repurposed and redesigned into the latter. What about the Omega Cannon? The Omega Cannon is a forbidden weapon sealed aboard the Oubliette. It is the final weapon in Metroid Prime Hunters. The Omega Cannon was long feared by the Alimbics as an abomination for its unstable power and was the subject of a prophecy of theirs. The Alimbic Prophecy. Oh yeah, the Alimbic Prophecy was used in the Alimbic race. It was a clue to how to defeat the Goria. The Alimbic Prophecy was contained in 8 lore entries scattered across the Alimbic cluster. When the red stain shall vanish... So yeah, we read all this. When the red stain shall vanish, so shall the ancient Alimbic power be manifest. The colors mentioned correspond to the sub-weapons colors as both as collectible items in the Beam Select and Hunter Gunship menus used to equip them, and to a slightly more limited extent, the projectiles or streams themselves. The Volt Driver draws energy from the planetary electromagnetic field and converts it into multi-terawatt bursts of high voltage. The Battle Hammer shoots green energy blasts. Wait. Huh. Wait. A magmal charge shot explodes upon contact and bursts into orange flames, revealing the orange blaze. The Judicator encases enemies in icy crystals when used by Noxus or Goria, the latter of whom assimilated the weapon from Noxus. It does not have this effect when used by Samus Aran, however, despite her becoming the one to fulfill the prophecy. The shot coil's neutrino stream is blue and non-solid like smoke, and also resembles a tendril in terms of shape. The Imperialist beam leaves a red stain similar to the one mentioned in the Alimbic prophecy. This prophecy was referring specifically to the 6 colored panels surrounding the arena inside the Oubliette, where Goria was kept, each color to signal which weapon it represented. Samus had to fire at each panel in the correct order with the corresponding weapon, while Goria would attempt to deter her. Each panel would spin to indicate that it had been done correctly. Once all six were sealed, the Hunter gunship would signal her, then Samus would finish off Goria as intended. As a result of the fulfilling of the challenge, Samus and Goria would face off in a different arena where Goria would reveal another form and continue the assault. Luckily, now Samus had access to the super powerful Omega weapon cannon, with which she could defeat Goria, then escape the self-destructing prison. If Samus did not fulfill the prophecy, then after defeating Goria in his first form, the Oubliette would explode anyway, and neither Samus nor the other bounty hunters would make it out alive. Oh god! I never thought about that. Oh god, so that would have been like a bad ending, where Samus would have actually died. The Delano 7, or Delano, is a Delta-class strike fighter owned by the bounty hunter known as Sylux. A prototype fighter designed by the Galactic Federation, the Delano 7, like the rest of Sylux's gear, was stolen by the hunter for his own purposes. Clad in the same blue metal and green lights as Sylux's armor, the Delano 7's wings are arranged in a vague X shape, and it produces a contrail of blue smoke when in flight. Its underside sports a powerful cannon that can be remotely set to automatically fire on targets. However, a design flaw causes the cannon to become briefly disabled if the ship receives enough direct hits. Sylux used the Delano 7 to travel to the Alimbic cluster in his search for the ultimate power, mentioned by a telepathic message. Both the Delano 7 and its owner would first be encountered here by Samus Aran during her own initial exploration of the Vesper Defense Outpost. In the ensuing battle in the weapons complex, Sylux remotely commanded the Delano 7 to fire on his enemy, but escaped in it after Aaron defeated him. She later spotted the Delano 7 a second time on Alanos when it flew over Samus in the Alimbic Gardens, its pilot apparently unaware of her presence. After the Infinity Void was unlocked, Sylux used the Delano 7 to enter the oubliette. When Samus' defeat of Goria caused the structure to self-destruct, Sylux and the other hunters escaped in their respective ships. Oh, okay, so that means they're still alive. While these are only seen as distant colored lights, it is evident that the blue light was the Delano 7. Huh. Sylux's Delta-class strike fighter is believed to be a stolen Federation prototype. Due to an unresolved design flaw, the autocannon can be temporarily disabled by several direct hits to the ship's hull. Delano is an old male French name meaning of the night. There is a glitch where if Samus chooses to go to Arctera instead of the Vesper defense outpost and collects the Imperialist, using it to headshot and defeat Sylux when the ship appears, the ship will not disappear unless Samus leaves the area, but will continue to fire at her. In the 100% ending of Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, a mysterious spacecraft piloted by Sylux resembling a Delta-class strike fighter unlocks its wings, making an odd noise, and pursues Samus from Milicia. I haven't played Prime 3 yet, but I've already seen some stuff about 2 and 3, so I don't really mind being slightly spoiled. It was confirmed at E3 2015 that this ship is indeed owned by Sylux, but whether this ship is the Delano 7 or not remains unknown. The Delano 7 shape bears a slight resemblance to a Metairie. What the hell is a Metairie? Oh, these little guys. These were the ones that were like. These are the ones that would like hang on the ceiling. Huh. Oh yeah, these guys. Anyways. Coincidentally, during the ending in Corruption, it opens its wing folds before charging directly towards Samus, similar to a Metairie's behavior. Huh. It looks like it had a bit of a redesign in Prime 3. Well, that's cool. The Delano 7 and all other bounty hunters ships escaped the oubliette. You know, I thought I saw that, but I never really thought about what it actually was. So, they are alive. I guess maybe not all of their energy was drained. I wanna look into Sylux. Yeah, see? Metroid Prime Hunters. Metroid Prime 4. Sylux is a powerful bounty hunter who appeared in Metroid Prime Hunters. Very little is known about Sylux, other than that he harbors a strong hatred for the Galactic Federation and Samus Aran by association. Okay, well that explains why he was so prominent on destroying us. Sylux appeared in the special endings of Metroid Prime 3 Corruption and Metroid Prime Federation Force, both of which set him up as an antagonist in Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Just so you know, no, I'm not going to be playing Federation Force. Because, I mean, I know that he appears in like the special ending and everything, but he does not have an actual role itself in the game. Very little is known about this character or why Sylux hates the Galactic Federation and Samus Aran. Sylux views fellow bounty hunter Samus Aran as an enemy by association for working with the Federation. His hatred of the Federation was strong enough that he was even willing to work alongside the space pirates, notably aiding them in attacking a Galactic Federation-owned research facility in 20X9. Looking at the overall humanoid shape and the humanoid hand holding the shock coil, Sylux's weapon of choice, it is possible and sometimes assumed that Sylux could be human. This theory is also backed partially by the use of stolen Federation gear and armor, which seem to be human in shape. However, Sylux's species in the cinematic intro of Metroid Prime Hunters is labeled as unknown. Sylux is seen fighting Federation soldiers in a location called Sylosis. Sylux in the Federation Force ending has humanoid-looking hands as well. Sylux's ship is the Delano 7, a blue X-shaped ship with aerofoils similar to the Lockjaw form. Along with Samus's gunship, Rundus's Phrygian... Oh, Phrygian... God damn, that's so hard to pronounce. Phrygian? No, Phrygian. glass gunship, and Gore's armor suit gunship combination, the Delano 7 is one of the few hunter ships to appear in the games themselves. Although Weevil's spaceship makes a small appearance in a docking bay during the cutscene for landing on the Oubliette, and Camden's ship is detected by Samus near the Celestial Archives. Yeah, okay, so when we landed on it, it said that there was another ship here as well, and Camden was the first one we fought. Okay. During M17 infestation, the Federation force is ordered to destroy a Metroid breeding facility on Telvania. General Alex Miles asks each Marine in the force to retrieve a Metroid egg for study. If this objective is complete, a cutscene after the credits shows Sylux breaking into a Federated Force research station. He uses a device on his arm to hack the stasis tube containing a Metroid egg, causing it to hatch. The camera then zooms out to show the individual has a shoulder spike resembling that of Sylux. Logan Foster, a contract environment artist for the game, confirmed that it was Sylux in the ending. Huh. And that's for, I think that's for multiplayer. Sylux is a resourceful tracker and a deadly sharpshooter who harbors an intense hatred for the Galactic Federation, and for Samus Aran for assisting the Galactic Federation in the past. Sylux's background is unknown, but the Hunter's motives are clear: to crush the Galactic Federation. Using technology suspiciously similar to a stolen Federation prototype, Sylux can deploy blades that travel along beams of energy while the Hunter is in ball form. Sylux was already in pursuit of Samus Aran when the Alimbic transmission was broadcast. For reasons no one knows, Sylux has long nursed an intense hatred of the Galactic Federation, its member planets, and most of all, its star bounty hunter, Samus. Sylux may well be Samus's equal. Resourceful, efficient, and infinitely patient, the mysterious hunter has been tracking Samus secretly for days, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. Sylux's primary target is Samus herself, but the secret of ultimate power would be of great help against her. In fact, it just might be powerful enough to destroy the entire Galactic Federation. Metroid Prime Hunters, the official Nintendo Player's Guide, incorrectly states Sylux turns invisible when equipped with the Imperialist. This exact same sentence is used on Trace's page. In-game, Trace is the only one who can turn invisible. Sylux's lockjaw form is designed very similarly to Samus's own Morph Ball, being able to release 3 bombs at a time and having a similar green orb of energy at its center. These similarities may suggest that the Galactic Federation has begun to construct prototypes of Samus's gear, which has further progressed with the downloadable data in Metroid Fusion. Okay, so I think that's all I'm going to be reading here, but this has given me a more clear understanding of the story and the setup behind Metroid Prime Hunters and the lore within it. So we know about how Goria was, he appeared, he was imprisoned, or he appeared, he absorbed energy from a lot of limbics. He was imprisoned. He could only be unlocked by basically going through 17 different steps of two-factor security. And we know a lot more about Sylux. I just wanted to read all this to really get a full-on understanding of how this all worked. So I don't really have that much else to say since I've given my speculation. I don't really have much to say about Sylux since we know how he was in Prime Hunters, but we've yet to see how he'll be in Prime 4. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you want more content in the future, subscribe to my channel and hit that bell, and I'll see you all next time.